Welcome back everyone. Time to do another comparison this time around between the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 6s Plus, which is the bigger model of the iPhone 6s. And what's very interesting is that between both phones, they both have their differences, they both have their pros and cons, but if you have any type of a brain, then please do not pick up the iPhone 6s Plus anymore. I mean, if it's your only device or if it's your only choice, then go for it, but the iPhone 12 mini is the better phone in every single angle. What's very interesting is that you're getting a way better phone in a smaller form factor. Typically it was the opposite. We had to go bigger to get a better phone. Not in this case, especially when we go back to something like the 6s Plus. Now that phone came out in 2015, the 12 mini just came out in 2020, and pricing wise there could not be any more of a difference. The 6s Plus, you can probably pick it up for like around $120 to $150. The 12 mini right now, brand new, costs $729. So definitely a little bit of a difference right there. But starting off with the front, the 6s Plus has a 5.5 inch IPS Retina panel, Retina IPS, whatever you're going to call it. And it's actually a full HD panel, which is really nice. The same resolution almost as the 12 mini, even though that resolution is higher. And with the 6s Plus, I mean, you're getting a pretty nice display. The display itself, the thing you're looking at, is actually not that bad. Like, it doesn't seem really outdated. It's a little old for sure, but it doesn't seem ugly and it doesn't seem like the most outdated panel. It does have a lot of bezel on the top and on the bottom, and that's the thing that definitely ages this device for sure. You have that home button design as well. So for sure, when it comes down to it, it is a older, more outdated design. It's not the most outdated design ever, but it definitely is more outdated than other versions of phones that have since came out. The iPhone 12 mini has that 5.4 inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel, and for sure this panel is far better. It's an OLED panel and it's technically a little bit higher resolution, which is really nice. And for sure, anything that has less bezel than the 6s Plus is, you know, a good looking phone nowadays. And you have a notch on the iPhone 12 mini. The 6s Plus doesn't have a notch, but it does have a bunch of bezel around it. You have that gesture based design as well, and for sure when it comes down to it, the iPhone 12 mini is a far better looking panel and just a far better looking phone than the iPhone 6s Plus for sure. On the bottom you have a lightning port on both of them, but you do have a headphone jack on the iPhone 6s Plus, so if you still need that, you have that capability on the 6s Plus, which is really cool. And now you have glass back on the iPhone 12 mini. The 6s Plus has that standard aluminum back, so again, to each their own. Maybe you like one over the other, but definitely the iPhone 12 mini I think feels and looks far better. You have IP certification on the 12 mini, where you don't have that on the 6s Plus, and you have wireless charging on the iPhone 12 mini, where the 6s Plus does not have either one of those things. So those are pretty big differences right there. But also on the back, you have those camera setups, and the iPhone 6s Plus has a single 12 megapixel lens, where the iPhone 12 mini has a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, then that 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And looking at those, I mean, what I can definitely tell you is that first of all, with the iPhone 6s Plus, there's not like a perfect way of saying this, but it definitely isn't a ugly or horrible or outdated camera. It's probably outdated, but it's not an ugly camera setup. And I have to give a lot of props to the iPhone 6s Plus, because this was technically the first iPhone to actually come out and bring a 4K camera setup for our iPhones. And I think that's something that was really, really important. I loved seeing those type of things, and having that type of capability is really cool. Now, you are able to not really do too much when it comes down to the capability behind it, because it's pretty much the same thing. It doesn't really have too many, you know, crazy features or anything. It does have, you know, like 4K at 30 and stuff like that, but you don't have portrait mode, you don't have night mode, you don't really have anything like that. So when it comes down to that, you're very stuck on just very basic features at the end of the day. Where the iPhone 12 mini, on the other hand, has so much more capability. First of all, it has a whole additional lens to it. You have that ultra wide sensor, which is really, really nice. And I like having that type of capability on a phone like this, because it just adds so much more character to the device. Now, on top of that, you are able to do 4K at 60, which I think in that end of itself is another really awesome feature. And you can even do 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 12 mini, where the 6s Plus can't even do 4K at 60 on the back. It can do 4K on the front. It's a 5 megapixel sensor on the 6s Plus, and it only taps out at 1080p. So for sure, when it comes down to it, you're getting a far better camera setup on the iPhone 12 mini than on the iPhone 6s Plus for sure. And that is something that's very, very important. When you have a device like the iPhone 12 mini, you can just quickly take that camera out, focus in, take it, and move on with your life. You don't have to worry about, you know, editing the photos too much after on the 6s Plus. So for sure, when it comes down to it, the 12 mini has a far better camera setup for sure. Now, software wise, The iPhone 6s Plus started off with iOS 9, the 12 mini started off with iOS 14, and they're both going to be getting software updates for about the same time right now, but very, very soon. There's rumors, and I pretty much believe it, the 6s Plus is pretty much going to be, stop getting support on iOS 14. It lived a good life, it had a long support, but it's probably going to end up ending on iOS 14 based off we know. I will be thoroughly surprised if it gets iOS 15. So even we're at this point now where we're like, oh, the software may continue and may not. With the 12 mini, it's not even a question. It's just going to be getting software support for years and years and years now. And if you think about it, how many people own the 6s Plus nowadays? I don't want to say like there's nobody using it, but there's probably far less people who originally bought it. At least there's less and less people every year. And that's the same thing with the 12 mini. Just think about it like this. You will probably end up upgrading your phone before the phone is done getting software support. With Apple, they just take so much pride, and I love Apple for doing it. They just update their phones like crazy. It doesn't matter which device it is, they just keep supporting it. So the 6s Plus still has all those new widgets and all those cool capabilities that the newer phones have, but the iPhone 12 mini does have that capability too, but it's going to be supported for a much longer time. So when it comes down to the software standpoint, the iPhone 12 mini 100% wins. Now performance wise, the iPhone 6s Plus came out with that Apple A9 chip with 2GB of RAM. This was the first iPhone to bring 2GB of RAM, where the iPhone 12 mini has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4GB of RAM. So it has twice the amount of RAM inside of it. And what I can tell you is for sure when the 6s Plus came out, I think it was probably one of the more faster phones that came out that year, and it was a very good performing phone. But obviously as time progresses and things happen, these older phones kind of get slower and slower, and this is no exception. With the iPhone 6s Plus, it wasn't a smooth phone even since like iOS 10 or something, but it's definitely not been a horrible experience. And even now when I use it, it's not that bad of a device. I actually think it's pretty smooth. It's pretty fast for a 2015 phone. But as I said before, if Apple were to release this phone now with the same type of performance as this phone has, I would be thoroughly disappointed. It's not fast. The app opening speeds and things like that, it takes a very long time for some apps to open. And compared to the iPhone 12, even compared to the iPhone 11 last year, I saw pretty big differences. And that's what you're going to be seeing time and time again when you have a device like the iPhone 6s Plus. It definitely is outdated when it comes down to just the performance aspect. It's slow. RAM management isn't as great as it used to be. And it's just not a fast phone, but it is still fairly smooth. For a 2015 device, I'll give it that. It's a very smooth device. The software is optimized for smoothness. It's not optimized for like being the fastest thing or whatever. It's just optimized for smoothness. And I have to give it respect for that because it is a very, very smooth device when it comes down to it. Now with the iPhone 12 mini, this is one of the fastest phones for sure. And the fact that it's not even like $1,000 phone, it's technically cheaper than that. I have a lot more respect for Apple for doing that, but also it's more expensive than the, iPhone 11 last year. So my respect automatically goes down because of that. But the performance of this phone is actually pretty good. It's like the fastest phone. It's one of the faster phones. It's very, very smooth. Anything I ever did with this device, it handled it perfectly fine. Like it was a very, very good performing device for the most part. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. RAM management on this device for now is not that great. I don't know when Apple's going to fix it. Hopefully they fix it sooner than later. But that is also something that I saw, that the performance on the iPhone 12 mini is very good. RAM management is, hopefully getting better. But definitely when it comes down to it, I have a lot of respect for Apple for putting, this type of chipset on this device. I just do kind of wish they took a little bit more time and making it a little bit of a smoother experience when it came down to the RAM management portion. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Now ending it off with the battery life, this is an easy one. The iPhone 12 mini is going to outlast the iPhone 6s Plus. And some of you may be confused because, the 6s Plus has a bigger battery. Well, the software is more optimized on the iPhone 6s Plus, but on top of that, you're getting a way better performing machine, more optimized chipsets, all that stuff on the iPhone 12 mini. So I will definitely give the edge to the 12 mini for having the better battery life for sure. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you go and pick up an iPhone 6s Plus? Should you go and pick up an iPhone 12 mini? Well, what I can tell you is for 100% fact, the iPhone 6s Plus at that time when it first came out was okay for the most part. It's not the fastest thing in the world. It wasn't the fastest thing at that time. But one thing that it did have was pretty much the capability of lasting a long time. And that's something I have a lot of respect for Apple for doing. The software support is the thing that keeps this phone going. It's not going to, outlast a lot of phones that are coming out this year. But if you think about it, there's been a lot of phones that stopped getting support. The Galaxy S8, the Galaxy S9 now, and all these other devices that the iPhone 6s Plus was actually able to last just as long as. And I think that's something that's super important. So when it comes down to that aspect, I have a lot of respect for Apple for supporting this phone for as long as they did and just supporting for, these iPhones for as long as possible. But some things that really age this phone would definitely be the camera, the screen, and the body, the way this phone looks. The screen itself is fine, but everything surrounding the screen is definitely outdated. The performance is, for sure not the fastest thing anymore either. And the battery life isn't as great either. But with the 12 mini, you're still getting all those things, all those things that I complained about with the, the iPhone 6s Plus. It is fixing those things. It's getting a better camera, a better build quality, a better screen. You're getting wireless charging and IP certification. You're getting better performance and smoother performance and a much longer lasting phone from something like the iPhone 12 mini than on the iPhone 6s Plus. So when it comes down to that, when you look at it through those eyes, I will definitely say the iPhone 12 mini is the far better phone here. It is the far better winner, but I still think the iPhone 6s Plus, for the majority of things you're going to do with it, is probably going to be okay. But if you have a little bit more money to spend, I would even recommend getting an iPhone XR or iPhone 11. Those phones Apple is still selling brand new, and you're going to be getting a much better deal from those phones, in my opinion, than an iPhone 12 mini or really any iPhone 12 series. An iPhone XR is still a beautiful phone to pick up, and you can't really go wrong with either one of these, to be completely honest. So that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.